So, how's everything been?
Everything has been amazing. Yeah.
Good, good, good. You've been up to a lot of spiritual soul searching, a lot of teaching recently. I
A lot
mean,
of teaching, a lot of expanding into new capabilities, sort of synthesizing a lot of different things that I had been working on, and they're just sort of coming together as new expressions for groups of people. It's very exciting, actually. Yeah. And I'm involved in some new communities that we are building things. We're not, some people have a grand vision of what things look like, and I'm just showing up for the ride
mhm.
because
Okay, okay.
I bring my energy wherever I'm called, and that's sort of the way that I spread my medicine. So, yeah.
Right, yes. Yeah, exactly. Medicine, exactly. What you offer is indeed medicine, it's really healing for the soul, mind,
Yeah.
body, everything.
Yeah.
So, if you can tell me a little bit about, I was very curious, for example, like you say you're part of like all these adventures, like for example, the Bites of Light journey, like
Yes. Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that, for example, like how that come about, and like I know
Well,
you're part of that, like that publishing, like
yeah, so that was, I don't remember if I had been published already the first time we
okay,
talked, the energy medicine solutions,
right, right,
and that I took advantage of the community of authors and and the publisher, who herself is a very high performing networking, successful person who's getting all these books out that have just incredible jewels of wisdom for healing and transformation. And I it's funny how we just we're guided to do something, and then that's it. The publisher of this book and of Bites of Light, and she started this 2 hour monthly event called Breakthroughs that features one of the authors from one of the many projects who shares their work, and then an open mic where people can share about 5 minutes of what they do. And I just jumped on the idea, and I knew I needed to be there. And this is how spirit works. This is how the universe works. I didn't know the presenter, but her name is Atlantis Wolf, and she is a shamanic medicine woman, dragon medicine. She does holotropic breathwork and cacao ceremonies, and she shared a bit of her work, and I started to resonate with her already. And then during the open mic, I just did about 3 minutes of my toning with the crystal bowl
right,
with
right,
my
right, right.
voice,
We went
and
over that in the last interview about your toning, right? Yeah.
so Uh, and then before I had a chance to reach out to her in the Zoom chat, she with all caps and exclamation points. Oh my God, I need to meet you. We need to connect. So turns out she's based in Cleveland, Ohio, which is where I was headed in March. And so she and I connected, and I did some distance healing sessions with her, and I gave her some of the advanced initiations, openings, and upgrades that I'm able to do in the higher levels of energy healing through the white time modality, and even ones beyond that. And then she's like, I have to introduce you to my friends. They're doing another book. They're doing their own book, and you just need to meet them. And at that time, I was like, the little me was like, oh, I don't know. It's too much. It's too much. And so I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I met them, husband and wife, um, Angel and Seth Rower. And 2 minutes into talking to them, I realized I needed to be part of that book. And what was interesting is that the timeline that they put for the book intersected with my timeline of continuing my education in white time. For 2 years, I had been planning that I would, on the June solstice of this year, I would become a level 4 gemstone healing teacher. That would make me the third person in North America to carry this knowledge and this energy. And that class is the first class I ever took way back in 2006, when I had my first really miraculous spiritual opening. And so I've been waiting for that moment for years, and that's precisely the publication date that they chose for the book.
Wow.
So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. And I remember, well, first of all, I generously bartered for my for the ability to be part of this book, and the barter took on the form of 6 private tutoring sessions with the husband Seth in transformative vocal toning. He would do chanting and stuff at ceremony that they do, but I took him to like the next level. He was blown away by the coaching that I provided him, and it was a beautiful experience for like three months or so, where we were every other week we were, I was coaching him to really become a next level sound healer with his voice. And I remember I was mid-flight. I don't remember which one, going or coming. Yeah, I think going to Denver, and the launch party, which is all the authors hop online, and they on a Zoom meeting, and they're introduced and they're interviewed by the publisher. Unfortunately, I didn't have the bandwidth on the flight to be able to have my video showing, but I was able to be present in in the comments, and I actually watched it live while I was flying, and I wasn't the only one. But it was just this thing, this like life lesson of yes, saying yes, and allowing yourself to expand and grow into that capacity to do all of these things that you want to do. And so I successfully launched the book. I successfully became a level 4 teacher, and now the Bites of Light community, right now they have an online portal where people can join the community, and they are Tolmec healing masters. They work with Jorge uh, Delgado. His name's not in my head. The guy who wrote the Four Agreements,
Hmm.
his son wrote a chapter in the book. The gentleman they work with wrote the foreword for the book, and they've been trained and studying and working with him in the South American temples. And so that's the medicine that they bring. And we're right now we're just meeting every other week online, some of the power players in this community, and we're just building momentum to the point where we're going to end up developing retreats to Mexico, to the temples, and even there's talk of another documentary. And just the thought of me being in a temple with my crystal bowl toning, and it being recorded for a documentary that'll be launched internationally is humbling, and it's exciting, and it's essentially inevitable, which is unbelievable. I couldn't have orchestrated this um, myself, but it all stems from that knowingness that I had to attend that 2 hour breakthrough thing. The first one that she ever, I've never gone to any other ones. Others. It was that one. I needed to meet that woman. And I think that Atlantis is also part of that book. And it's about the soul community reconnecting with soul community.
Right.
And we're very advanced workers, light workers in our various modes of expression. And I think it's like, it's just on the higher level, we're just having a blast, like are planning this life together, weaving this tapestry of waves of awakening and synchronicity. It's just, how can anyone not believe that there is a master plan behind all of this?
Exactly.
That we came here to be inspiring, to be challenged for sure. I had to face a lot of my demons because of figuring out what is going on in the world with humanity right now, and how to be a human, and but then how to overcome that, and how to bring the energies of the higher dimensions down, and transmit them, and how to do that. And the white time opens up and gives people access through initiation, And I used that in conjunction with my God-given gifts of the voice and my sound to have my voice be a portal through which angels and light beings and shamans and
Right,
any
right.
beings really, ETs, they just transmit their energy through my voice. And I've had these recent experiences that have confirmed that on in by just the audience's responses and experiences that I've had the honor of receiving the reflections. And it's just, it's mind blowing where things are going. And it's kind of circling back to my original dream of traveling the world to sacred sites and doing sound healings with my voice, because I've combined it now with the white time intentionally, and these other very special angelic beings that are very advanced, even more advanced than the archangels of this universe. So that's where I'm at. it's and I'm just doing the ride and releasing my attachments and my fears and my limitations, and trusting more and more every day in the universe and the divine plan. So
Now, when you say, for example, and this is an intriguing thought that I've meditated on and I've researched like thoroughly. When you say beings higher than archangels, and I'm getting somewhere with this, like for example, the combination and the correlation of ETs, for example, I thought about this for a while, but I would like your say on this, or your say so. Like, do you think with people having like pieced together, there's an actual correlation of higher evolved entities and like ETs and angels and or demons? There's a big misunderstanding here, But I think a lot of these ETs are positive that we
mhm,
can work through. And then as well, some of them are just like demonic entities can be negative, which we don't work with. But I'm making a point here. The shaman must be able to journey through this like a sea of water, on a safe passage to guide others, be that lamp of light in that boat, and I think there's a misunderstanding here that you're catching on to very well, very wisely. Could a lot of these angels also be ETs of some form, or like archons, or like these divine helpers that have been helping us,
mhm,
guide us
mhm,
throughout the years? Do you think that there's any
mhm.
correlation to that whatsoever? Like,
Yeah. Based on my own experience and the knowledge that is available through white time healing, which is essentially a roadmap to how the universe is structured, and
right,
also things beyond the universe. But we'll stay with within the sphere of the ever expanding universe right now.
exactly.
That uh, I have learned that for one thing, every species has its angels, and so that nature's angels are what we call the fairies, the Fae kingdom, right? The angels that
Right,
preside
exactly.
on,
Yeah,
crystal angels, plant angels are really fairies, and that's what they are. Uh,
right.
and
There's so much
and
past.
and everyone also has not just one higher self, but one higher self at every point of consciousness, if you will, as we progress into the dimensions or the worlds, and so to speak.
Or like
Uh,
different layers, like
different layers. It's like it's not exactly like stacked because it's all like interconnected. But
different.
for example, most people's higher selves are well, I have just, yeah, it's true. Well, well, it depends, because the Earth is such an interesting place. It's a melting pot of all different soul origins, if you will. Especially now, it's like all the higher beings have purchased their hot ticket to incarnate as a human, and they can be from anywhere or any original soul origin, including new souls. New souls are ones that like have just incarnated for the first time and have chosen Earth as their origin planet, so to speak. Old souls aren't really original from Earth. They're probably from the Lyran star system, or any of the older, more highly evolved original planet systems of this universe, like from millions of years ago and billions of that sort of thing. But we'll not get ahead of ourselves. So,
Exactly. Right.
but extraterrestrials, typically their higher self is an angel, and angels' higher selves are light beings. and it kind of go on, so on and so forth. So you can connect with your higher self, which could be an Arcturian, a Pleiadian, a Syrian, a combination of them, or some other extraterrestrial, or your higher self can be an angel, and you don't have an extraterrestrial um, a higher self, and then it goes up from there. But my understanding is that whatever the higher self is, it's just the self immediately at the next level of point of consciousness that you exist in. Now, the point of consciousness in the universe is essentially ETs and angels, right? They're in that other dimension. That is, Earth is in the third dimension, which is very dense, which is why only those who have open channels of perception can see, feel, and interact with their guides in a direct way. But they're just in that another dimension. And so ETs and angels work a lot hand in hand, and especially for the light. I don't really delve too much into the structure of the dark, but I do know that as the light is evolving farther up in the light, the dark is actually evolving further into the dark. And that I'm sure, like demons and things, there's some sort of progression of evolution into their ultimate darkness, if you will,
Yeah, right,
which is bizarre, but it's part of this the structure of this dualistic universe. Like this universe is constructed on duality,
true,
and the challenge that we have is the illusion of separation, right? But really, duality is a unified it's a unified thing. You can't have one without the other. Otherwise, the reality would collapse, or at least the way that this particular universe's reality is agreed to behave as such. So like it's like people work, it's important to work with our shadow, because our
right,
shadow is an intricate part of us. And it's important. It's like you said, like the shamans, there's that light that go into the dark, because people tend to either to lose themselves, to pull themselves out of their balance,
right,
the yin and yang, towards the dark, which is the negative, towards the bad, or whatever, or they pull them towards the light, which too much light is like, the light can destroy everything. Dark doesn't really destroy anything. It consumes in a different way, but light can burn you up, and it's interesting. So it's a balance. You have to, I think the more shadow you integrate, the more light you can emanate, which is interesting. Yeah.
right, right,
So that's my understanding that yeah, the ETs and the angels, and yeah, and they all have different roles in a sense, and the different ET races have different strengths and different focuses and different abilities, and oftentimes groups of beings that come together in like council, to create campaigns to help humanity in various ways. They're often collectives of different representatives from different groups. Yeah.
right, right.
So,
I think
yeah.
it's very important for us, especially as shamans and healers, to be very important to never dwell too much into the dark, never have like anything evil of intention, nothing like that, but to
Mhm.
be aware that exists and to be that light in the darkness, and to be able to guide people to luminosity, to that clear light, that stainless light that always exists, within ourselves and outside. A lot of times, and I'm sure you've heard this, monks speak of a place to go to meditation is
Mhm.
non-duality, because in the physical realms, it's all about duality,
Mhm.
so in order to pierce that veil, kind of, we need to kind of like reach a 0 point atmosphere, 0 points within ourselves of like a non-dual radiance. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, yeah. I heard one shaman tell me that. Another shaman before told me his point of view. I don't know about this one, honestly. I feel it's not needed, honestly. I don't, me personally. One shaman told me his point of view, that he felt that sometimes some of them choose to go through evil incarnations. I mean, I guess it kind of made sense. I just don't completely agree with that, but I always like to hear all point of view. I'm never biased. You know what I'm saying? But he said that some of them have to go, or feel like they have to go, in order to understand it. So I guess that kind of makes sense. I guess as this, I don't want any of them to like get stuck, especially any beginner, to misunderstand that concept. I think he
Yeah.
felt toward the light. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
and his interpretation was sometimes it's needed, where I don't think it's really needed. No, I think like you said, the light, too much light can burn you up, especially in the beginning. Like you need to know how to properly divine it, properly let it flow through you,
Hmm.
or too much light or too much information being
Hmm.
downloaded
Hmm.
all at once, you know, cause some people to go kind of what I coined the term ascension madness. You got to do it, properly, with true tools, such as toning, healers such as you. That's why people like you are so sacred and matters so much. And I appreciate this so much, and the audience does too, because I don't really encourage people to go down that dark road. I think a lot of times, and this is going a little bit off topic, I'm just going to go and I'm going to circle back. I think sometimes they just maybe had some kind of trauma and they hold a grudge against the light, or if light or God exists, then we wouldn't be going through this. But I also think a lot of those are tests, to test your strength and how you're going to use it as shadow work, like you said, to interweave it in yourself, and to become something stronger,
Hmm.
like it's so important.
Yeah. It's funny that that came up because I did delve into the dark willingly and knowingly as part of my agreement to gain knowledge of myself and also
Okay.
wisdom to assist others as a
Right,
way
right,
shower, knowing that I had. It's funny because I reached a limit and I it was like, oh, like this is as far in as I'm going,
right.
because
Yes, sir.
after that it would have, I mean, it's
Right.
very, 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 very dangerous.
Yes, sir.
It's
I agree.
not recommended,
Yeah.
especially for beginners,
Like, especially right.
but for my work and my agreements in this life, it was necessary for me to do that. And I'm very grateful that I've always had this very highly developed sense of self-awareness and knowing where my true limits are, and then understand it was not easy, pulling myself back out of it. And certainly part of my lesson was needing support. And a lot of shamans, a lot of light workers, a lot of people on the healing path, there's a certain sort of egoic stubbornness, like they need to do it themselves, and that's the
Right.
illusion. You don't. And I'm very grateful that I it was a lot of ego disillusionment for me going through that path and that journey into the dark. And one of the main jewels that I uncovered was gratitude, and really understanding that gratitude is a frequency. I was speaking about this recently in front of a spiritualist community, that gratitude is really a key to prosperity and abundance. That, if you're just receiving, like kids with trust funds, is there any
Right.
gratitude there? Maybe. But the way that they abuse their entitled behavior, they think they're better than people. That's all negative expression, right? And there'll probably be a lesson along the way, or they're just living a
Right.
life of, they've chose to incarnate that sort of in that sort of way with that sort of resource. And perhaps with the, I don't know, I'm getting way off track, but yeah, there's value in going into the dark to see what's there, if you're intending to be able to provide to others that pathway back to the light,
Right.
or
Right. Right.
support in their darkness. Because now I understand, because I've been there, like doing the work, being in it is a lot more valuable than someone who just intellectually or theoretically can conceptualize what a person may be going through, as opposed to actually having experienced it. And it's like I had this mindset for my entire life to experience very traumatic situations with the knowingness that I was experiencing them with intention, to be able to learn from them. It's very weird. It's like, people sign up for classes on college campuses. Oh, I'd like to learn German. Okay, pottery, sure. I'm like, yeah, okay. Emotional abuse, check. Physical, okay. Let's do the abusive relationship and get that out of the way, right? We know what that's all about. The codependent relationship, yeah, sure, why not? But it was like I was self-aware through the entire time, knowing that it was this journey of learning and strengthening. And at this point in my life, I've decided that I don't need to sign up for any more of those classes because my schoolwork, my schooling, because Earth is a school, that
Exactly.
that part of the schooling for me personally is complete, and now I can facilitate or support or teach all of that stuff that I've learned, and it's wonderful being on the other side, which is also a choice, right? You have enough of the free buffet. Okay, that's enough, right? You
Exactly.
need to. You don't just keep eating those, crab rangoons because they're free. So, that sort of thing, and that's where discipline comes in, and all of
Exactly.
these noble attributes of a true empowered shaman, and light workers, the what you're doing with the information. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Definitely, definitely. Very needed too. Oh, it takes someone, like you said, of an old soul, I think, especially should be equipped for that. Especially for the beginner or the new ones, they wouldn't know how to traverse those waters properly. So it would take a very strong soul to be able to navigate those waters back and be like, okay, well, I've been there, done that, and this is the way that you don't want to go, or this is the best way to traverse these waters. You don't want to go down these rapids, you don't want to go down this waterfall, or that ways and just plummet you to death, or like you said,
Hmm.
crab rangoons. They may taste beautiful and delicious, but you just eat that every day. It's gonna reload. It's gonna result in a bunch of horrible, just results.
Yeah,
So like balance in that and do it properly. Very important.
yeah.
So moving on slightly, ever so slightly. So what about acupuncture? What can you provide me in that? Like,
Well, it's funny. I just had a session yesterday.
mm,
um,
yeah,
so, oh, I fully believe in it. The meridians, the energy meridians that the Chinese have mapped and studied for over 5,000 years, they distribute energy on the vertical axis of the body, and the chakras distribute it horizontally. And a healthy flow in both directions is important for your bioenergetic expression. And chi gets blocked, which something as much as an inexpressed emotion, just like a small thing, a small infraction or whatever that would upset someone, and they don't express it, could just be stuck in their shoulder, and it could be blocking a major chi, a
right, right,
major pathway, and then that buildup of chi creates inflammation, and an imbalance in the organ functions for whatever that meridian is. You think people understand the circulatory system quite easily, right? Oh yeah, here's the arteries, they flow in, and the veins, they flow back to the heart. Well, the meridians are the same way. Energy is constantly flowing, and that
exactly.
flow. I read somewhere that uh, 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 healing occurs when the flow of that energy is restored, and certain things like acupuncture tap directly into that energy system, and a learned acupuncturist can assess what's going on with a person health wise, but also holistic health wise, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And they can put the needles in different points to sort of open the channels and let them flow properly, and encourage the body to remember how to do that. That's one. So acupuncture is one way to do that. Um, I did a fun event. An acupuncturist invited me to collaborate with her, and so she put needles on people, and they laid down, and then there was a special gemstone combination, the same one I gave everyone to put on their heart chakra, and then I did a sound healing for everyone, and it was amazing. So they got not only the acupuncture directly treating the energy system, they got the sound treating the cellular and molecular level, and then they
Right,
got
right,
the gemstones treating the atomic and subatomic level. So they got like tuned up at
right, right, right.
three
Yes,
different levels of their expression. It was awesome. We're gonna do one for
right.
the fall, and so on and so forth. So yeah, why do you ask about the acupuncture?
Well, I know acupuncture in general derives a lot from the Asian districts, Asian countries. I know a lot of them derive from Tibetan Sanskrit correlations, and I know they go hand in hand with chakras. Me personally, what I've always delved in is the Kundalini chakras and
Mhm.
about Tantra meditations. My specialty is not acupuncture. However, a lot of the monks I used to work with back in the day, they would always tell me about acupuncture and how that also, besides breathing, besides the base breathing, besides Kundalini, Tumo, and these different
Mhm.
sky gazing tactics
Mhm.
and these deep techniques of dark room therapy and everything. Another one that you use to help open up those chakras and meridians, as you say. And this is taught about a lot in Tantra and taught about a lot in sacred books. A lot of them, they would do acupuncture.
Mhm.
That was never my specialty whatsoever. I'm always curious about that. I know it takes a professional to actually really know where exactly it is and actually helps open up those blocked channels and everything. That's as much as I know about that subject. So it's always fascinated me about acupuncture, and
Mhm.
especially
Mhm.
how it correlates to the opening of those chakras and helps those energy vortexes, because a lot of
Yeah.
times I guess some, they can't do the proper breathing. And acupuncture is a quick way, and then sound healing is another quick
Mhm.
way. Gems another quick way. These are very good to facilitate for beginners and advanced as well. But especially like how we've been doing this for a long time, and someone wants to be healed, well, they don't right away know all these complex breath and these techniques, or be in the dark for 10 days straight, saying certain prayers, and neither should they. I
Yeah.
try to facilitate, and I think you do too. I try to facilitate these ancient teachings that can best be modified for the modern person, So a lot of
Yeah.
these people aren't going to do like deep, 30-day retreats, and that's why I love the retreat system. I really do. Honestly, I,
Mhm.
I think the retreat system is one of the best,
Mhm.
honestly, because to just put your full focus, whether it be just, solid hours or solid few days, into this delving into that concept and that energy, whatever you're going through, whatever you're truly just trying to mitigate. Retreats are just amazing, and so going back to acupuncture real quick though, like I always heard about that, and I saw that you had some kind of knowledge about that. I wanted your input.
A little bit. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not trained in it. I never really seriously focused on learning and retaining the different meridians and the different points and
Right, right.
everything. But there, when I in massage school, I intersected a bit a person who developed a chair massage protocol focused on the acupressure points, and he'd have the routine hit on all the
Yeah,
acupressure
okay.
points because you
Makes
don't
sense.
need the needles. You can just put like really strong pressure on different points as well.
Makes
The whole
sense.
thing. Oh, you got a headache? Squeeze here, right? It's an acupuncture
Right,
point.
or the feet. I know the feet. Another teacher that I knew one time, her specialty was using the feet for that, pressing certain meridians in the feet, and
Yeah,
voila, headache's gone, or voila, this heart pollen's gone. She was
yeah,
a master at knowing how to do
yes,
that on the feet, because I know there's
yeah,
a lot of interesting vortexes and channels actually on the feet and the hands. A lot right there,
yeah,
really. Or
yeah.
also another one, the back of the skull, right here around the occipital bone.
Mhm.
So interesting little pressure points. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
definitely see that.
There's a book called uh, Touch for Healing. I think it's called Touch for Healing, and it's an acupressure manual that goes into each of the meridians with diagrams and everything. I think it's called Touch for Healing, and it's a very very good resource because you don't need the needles, you don't need any of the tools, just your finger to
Right,
to
right, right.
oh,
Good,
so
good,
that someone, and even a beginner can pick up that book and it's quite clear.
beautiful.
It's just the logic of um, knowing what points to press and self-exploration and learning. So yeah, that's a resource for anyone who might be interested. I remember the first time I received acupuncture. from someone who was
I
in.
like how you. Yeah.
Hmm? Yeah. No, just this it's a story.
Oh no, no, continue. I was just saying I like how you brought up the points.
Oh yeah, thanks. The first time I experienced it was a friend was in school for it, and so they put some points on my low back, my kidney points, and I couldn't believe it. It felt like inside of my body, someone was like pulling two energies down slowly, like taffy, like how much chi was blocked in my adrenals. It just was like, I'll never forget that feeling of it just
Right, right, right.
over like a 15-minute period of time. And I was like, oh my God. It was like really intense. I never really experienced anything. Another time, someone put some needles on my toes, and literally like an electric like bolt of energy like shot out my foot like 3 feet. It was just like really bizarre. So weird things can happen in acupuncture because it really tap into the literal electrical system of your body. So
Exactly. Right, right.
and it's kind of a fun adventure. I'm always bracing for the next shocking experience. Uh, and it's just a matter of how much blocked chi you have, and everyone, you can't avoid it. Everyone has a certain amount of, stress um, and blockages. Otherwise we would, ascend. Lessons learned. Yeah. So, yeah, but I recommend it. And a lot of insurance companies, insurance policies cover it. It's very recognized, at least mine does. So, and it's a good self-care thing. I mean, because you just relax, you give yourself 45 minutes, you're in the hands of a master, and you come out the other end, feeling better, being more balanced and energized. And yeah, it's really nice.
And as well, speaking of earlier, you were talking about communicating with angels. Can you tell me a little about communicating with the Archangel Michael, for example?
Yes. So my personal history with Archangel Michael began when I was 18. In fact, I mentioned that moment in my chapter in the Bites of Light book,
Okay.
uh, as part of my path. When I was a freshman in college. I had a single, which means I was alone in my dorm room, and it was in that fall, right, early as school started. Um, that I was awakened that night, and this angel was glowing above me, and it handed me a flaming sword, and I didn't realize until later that it was Archangel Michael, and then my head's really tingling. He's always here. And I had a healing session with a woman who works with him as well this morning, and he showed me his cathedral with her and this stuff. And then afterwards, it was just like he was kind of like just like sitting here. It's bizarre, but he was here. So he's here right now, and Archangel Michael just is love, and he's always shown as with his sword out and his foot crushing a demon, right? Now,
Right.
demons are literal and figurative. We all have our personal demons, which are the inner saboteur, the critic, the false thought that we're not worthy of love. Those things are also those demons that Archangel Michael can help us cut out and remove. And one thing about this universe is that it doesn't like a vacuum. So if you have that junk occupying space, Archangel Michael comes and he clears it out. It's your responsibility to fill it with something. And so he also provides the love. So it's like, it's not only is he coming and helping you recognize and overcome your demons, but he's supplying the love for you to fill in what has been uh, sort of vacated. And he offers protection as a sort of ongoing supply of that love until you are able to uh, sort of produce it yourself, in terms of tapping into your core strength, your core expression, and your infinite point of divinity within you, the inner sun that's within the heart chakra, that's within the soul, within the spirit, that undying flame of life force, right? That the Kundalini practice is all about cultivating. The life force is love. Life doesn't exist without love. If it
Right.
does exist without love, it is soon to dwindle and die. Ask any of the plants that I neglected when I was a kid, right? They just like,
Right.
if
Right.
you
Right.
don't water them, and so love, it is available, but we have to remember to literally tap into it. And so
That,
Michael comes, and he is, and the great amazing thing about the archangels is one of their roles is to uphold the dimensions with their wings. Their wings are so vast, so enormous, but they can also become very compact enough to just have part of him here, right? It's not like all of him is here. He's everywhere, almost
exactly.
everywhere. His essence, just like the ascended masters, they have the ability to multitask and to help countless people simultaneously. It's that level of servitude, of evolved, expanded soul that opens into the higher spheres of consciousness, and as a force or a color, or the ray, the different rays of creation, color, energy, that certain ascended masters preside over. And so he has been supporting me, protecting me, guiding me, and at times singing through me and working with me. And it's not just him who I work with. I work with the four primary archangels, and I've interacted with each of them in different ways throughout my life. And yeah, so it's really beautiful work, and uh, it's very real. Other people see the same thing, feel the same thing. They're just in a different dimension. It's like you're talking about someone who's in a different room. They're in a different room. We just
Right.
can't see the room, and and they are willing to respond to anyone who asks for help. It's part of their
I,
agreement.
oh, sorry.
That's it.
I've read in certain tantric Vedics and in ancient passages that when the creator, it goes by many names, and no true gender, but yet all genders,
Mhm.
because it's everything. I've read that when he made these beings, he made beings made out of plasma, which can be reverted to demonic entities or fiery. When he made humans, he made them out of earth, a bit of himself, and clay, metaphorically and physically. And then when he made angels, he made them out of, it's interesting how he described it, out of light, mathematics, and frequency. And that a lot of times, we see them as something we can understand and comprehend, but really, like you said, it's everywhere. It's so much more vast. If you probably saw one in its true, complete, true, grandiose form, I think the basic human, it'd be so much for him to undertake and comprehend. So that's why I think also, if you think about it, all these great angels, they visited all these different cultures. Some with blue skin, some with many arms, some with angel wings. That doesn't mean that's their a solid appearance, yet it is. It's a lot of times they came to these people and these cultures, and that's why there's so many arguments and wars about, no, this is the way it looks, no, this is the way it looks, no, this is the right way.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's all of them. What I'm saying? Like, they're able to, like, using light and frequencies, mathematics, that so deep, and not even I can comprehend, to the legacy of the creator, of how he dwelled into it. He just drove right into pure frequency for the angels and these high evolutionary channels. Frequency, mathematics, geometry. You
Mhm.
know, it's very interesting to when I read those passages. It's like, huh, it's a interesting way to put it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And so circling back, to your magnum opus in a way. What started, tell the audience a little bit more about like your tone work. How you integrated that to everything, like how toning is. What is toning? I know you said that a little bit last time, but like just touch up on that a little bit.
So I would recommend reading my chapter in Bites of Light, which is available on Amazon. And I think that I just came in with the intention of showing people the potential of their own voice as not, well, in a sense, as a way of communication, but not just linguistic communication, communication with yourself, with your body, resonance, frequency, vibration. There is so much information to be gained from exploring the interaction of vibrations you produce uh, and your physical body or your energy or your emotions. And there is certain shapes of sound resonate with certain chakras or certain organs or certain areas of the body, or they stimulate certain physiological processes, different rhythms too. The body is entrained to rhythm, and all that stuff. And there's tons of technology out there that's capitalizing upon this. And but all that aside, you have this instrument of your voice that you can develop that it basically purifies your channel, and it's a direct expression of one's soul is their sound. And my whole life I was playing literally like with my voice, seeing what noises I could make, what sounds I could make, and whatnot. And it wasn't until really when I was offered the assistant choral position at Amherst College, which surprised me because I was never in any choirs or anything growing up. And then it was like the universe was, you're going to learn to use your voice intentionally. And a couple of years before that, I asked what my purpose was as an early 20-year-old, 20-something-year-old in college usually does. And the two words I got were to sing, and it didn't make any sense because I was a pianist. The last thing I would do in public was sing. But I started hearing the sound of what turned out to be the sound of a crystal bowl in my head 4 years before I knew it existed. And I naturally started just singing and harmonizing with it, like in the shower. Like if you can imagine a tone that's just persistent and then you're just singing with it. And then when I found them and I discovered them, I just immediately started singing with it. And what happens is when you sing in perfect unison with a crystal bowl, the sound is completely seamless and smooth. It's amplified, but it's seamless and smooth and expansive. If you are slightly out of pitch, it creates a beating effect that goes, and the closer you get to unison, it goes, and that discipline, that microtonal frequency awareness educates your cellular intelligence to sensitize itself to subtle frequency, the frequency that is the same kind of awareness that can differentiate feeling the vibration of a peridot, right? This is a peridot, or a clear quartz, or any other type of gemstone. We have the capacity in our cellular intelligence to uh, to focus on and develop that sophisticated perception of differentiation and toning, especially with a crystal bowl. It facilitates that sort of learning process that is you can use to your advantage, to the point of standing at a crossroads and looking in one direction and looking in the other and intuitively feeling what direction to go in, because what you're feeling, that intuition, is that harmony, is that resonance, is that alignment with whatever is out there, is in harmony and concordance with your vibrational expression. Whereas the other direction, not so much. Maybe something's bad there. There's an accident. There's a fight going on. There's toxicity in the environment. You can feel it because you've taken the time with your voice to develop your whole body as an instrument, a listening instrument, to respond to the frequencies that we're bombarded with on a daily basis. And also to cleanse your body and your field, to tone for an extended period of time, allowing organically your body to generate different frequencies. It doesn't really matter what the frequencies are for someone starting out, but what it does is it shakes and it clears your aura of all energies, like you're taking the rug and you're whacking it with the broom, right? Not so violently, but you're getting all that detritus that's accumulated out of it, and suddenly you have a clear field, and then you can really perceive the other energies that come in. It's about clarity of perception. That's really what the toning, in terms of the physicality, the benefits are. And then you go into starting to open your crown and your channels and begin to channel and become a conscious channel, where you can
Right.
consciously channel the messages, the frequencies, as it were, of your higher self, of your guides, of angels. You can receive messages because the toning is clearing your higher channel as well. So that's really, uh, and it's, everyone has that capability. It's just about aligning your awareness, perhaps getting a little guidance, a little coaching, and getting out of your mind, out of your mental constructs, and into the organic expression of your body as an intelligence, as an intelligent receptor. So thank you for asking that. A lot of that information, this is the first time that I've shared it that way, as I've come to understand it. And I really appreciate you asking me that. This very valid information that just came through. Again, it's about clearing the channel and opening to receive, and being free to express. The structures are important in terms of creating coherence, or the way that the different angels look different to different races, right? It's
Right.
that's the structure, that the geometry and the mathematics and the measurements and frequencies that resonate with that particular culture's expression is what the angel's going to look like. And so coming into conversations like this, I don't have like a planned response. It's just what the energies coalesce and express, and that's how my live groups and everything, even my private sessions, works. The sound, the energies can be expressed through sound, or in this case through uh, words and communication. Everything is so, words are so powerful. Part of my, when I start working with clients, I listen to what they're saying. I listen to the words they're saying. I listen to how they describe themselves. I listen to where there's limitation in their beliefs. And that's where I start to invite them to start to upgrade their language, and especially their dialogue with themselves. And again, Archangel Michael, even Gabriel, the master communicator, the messenger, right? They know how to deliver an effective message. and and that's, you want to deliver an effective message to yourself. And if you don't, there's just room for growth and healing. But you have to be aware, and you have to be mindful. You have to have that uber awareness, as if you're observing yourself objectively, and
Exactly.
that's something I've always been able to do, and I think that that's not something that people are automatically capable of. But I've always been that way. And I think, going back to what we were talking about earlier, I think that's why I was able to safely, and well, not maybe not safely, but confidently go into the dark, because I had that observer as if I'm not just me. There's me, and then there's me, and the higher me is always like, all right, we're going to go do this, but I've got your back. And that is not, maybe it's something that can be cultivated in people, but usually it takes another person to see what an individual is unable to see about themselves. So yeah, toning is really easy. You inhale and then you make a sound. That's it.
And I think ancient and sacred. I think it goes back all the way to ancient Egypt and Tibet. There was these fascinating passages of monks being able to harmonize and using certain mathematics, and like they're monk here and certain this point, monk right here at this point, and then harmonizing the correct frequency aimed at the exact location, they're able to make something levitate. And today that art, while it does exist, and even as I'm saying that, I'm getting high frequencies, but it does exist. I think sometimes we forget, as humans, how much true power we have inside and how much we can affect reality. The monks knew this very well. This with certain tones and frequencies and knowing exactly where to direct it. And they could, make boulders levitate, certain things levitate, and it goes back to like the sacred tones, like om or hum or ah, these certain things, the tones, to help activate certain things inside in the meridians and outside, and I think that's very much understood for some. So I'm glad to touch on that, very well.
Yeah. Yeah, there are definitely uh, systems of ancient knowledge that are completely relevant because the sound still behaves the same now as it did then. And it's completely relevant. There's definitely different systems and structures that exist that one can study and that one can use as reference points or starting points. And I work primarily intuitively now, but a lot of people, they need some encouragement. They need a structure, a system, something to learn and to practice and to study and to observe, to learn how their body responds to those things. Most definitely. Yeah, levitation is quite possible. I read somewhere that's how they really built the pyramids, is sonic levitation technology.
Right.
I'm
That
not sure if
honestly,
they
that
had
makes much more
monks
sense.
moving there.
Right.
I think it was probably more extraterrestrial because Earth was not isolated from the higher beings back then.
Exactly. Especially at the time. Right.
Yeah. I absolutely love your wisdom and the time that you've invested in researching all these ancient sacred practices and knowledges. It's incredible. I can just sense all of the wisdom in your head of all of this stuff. It's so important to preserve that knowledge and to bring it into the present.
Exactly.
100%.
Oh, you honor me. Thank you.
Yeah, really, it's very, very wonderful to share this time with you.
Same here. It's been a while. That's why I wanted
Yeah,
to
it
reach out
has.
to you and catch up on things you've been going through and how you've been helping people. I've noticed you're really on an adventure, man. Really, it's awesome, brother. Really,
Thank you. It's fun.
really.
It's like, I don't, I just leave it open. I say I want the highest and best. And when you mentioned something, I don't remember what it was, but just when we were talking about the evil and the dark and intentions, I believe, and I made this belief and this commitment that everything I do, everything I say, everything I think and I want, it comes from a place of love. Love is not really the motivation. Love is the impetus, and it's important for people, I believe, to make that sort of agreement with themselves and then uphold their actions and behaviors and thoughts to that, and start to live in integrity. When you slip and you get triggered and you get angry, you cuss someone out, is that from a place of love? And just really this self-monitoring and purification it's like any sort of thing. It becomes natural. It becomes the base mode of operation. And when you're out of your alignment, you know, and then it's an invitation to get back and see what lessons were there. I'm saying this, and this is coming up for some reason. I've had a lot of people triggered simply by my authentic expression, by my love expression, by being myself. And I've had people screaming at my face, I've had people calling me things, all this stuff. And when I was younger, my response was to shrink and to conceal. But that serves no one. And when you begin to grow in spiritual strength, you understand that your truth can be terrifying to others because they're not ready to see theirs. And to not necessarily expect that sort of resistance, but to understand that they are responding with fear or from fear to you, who are merely expressing with love, and to really honor them, but not react to them, and not censor yourself anymore, because the light needs the light, and the light expression is one's truth, and one's truth, I believe, is pure love. I don't believe any humans have incarnated carrying these seeds of evil. I think they can be manipulated, or they can choose because they think that's their best option, but that involves the free will, which is something that, you know, they've moved away from their inherent love expression, so to speak. So it's just all about trusting. And even if someone seems upset by something that you may have done, if you know in your heart that you've done it with love, it is what it is, and it's a lesson for them. And that's
True.
important, because
Yes.
light workers create lessons in others, and also lessons for themselves. It's very important to know that when you're living your truth, just that resonance will be a catalyst for people, and how they respond is not really, it's not your responsibility, and it should not uh, uh, bear any weight as to your choice to continue to express your truth or not. So
Exactly. Hmm. I
yeah.
think that's good for now, my brother. What amazing wisdom. Wow. Thank you.
Mhm. You know, in this polarizing climate, it's important to remember everyone has a right to believe what they want to believe, but I believe that where the problems arises is when one person insists on shoving their beliefs on someone else, because there's every person has a unique perspective, and therefore every person has a perspective that leads back to the God source, and every person has a right to their own journey. Yeah. So
You know, I'm reminded of the J.R.R. Tolkien's his writing technique for Lord of the Rings. You know, so he used a very fascinating technique called the hero's journey. You know, and I think that correlates to each and every one of us. And we are never to. It's easy for us to distract ourselves and go into the main character syndrome and think, okay, well, like this is a speech. You know, this is a metaphor. You know, like I'm the chosen one, or I'm the this, I'm the that, and we can go into easily into like this main character syndrome.
mhm.
Really, we're great healers, yes, and we're guides, you know, but there is no one that's necessarily like, you know, except for even the Christ. I think this is a transformation. I do think he existed. I have a lot of respect for him. I think all these masters existed, you know.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
think the ultimate concept here of the Christ transformation is a transformation within us. And of
Mhm.
course, some won't be able to receive that wisdom and that light and that guidance, you know,
Mhm.
because, you know, we're in a very important time right now. You can feel it, you can tell there's a lot of signs. I think all the more right now it's so important to connect to that light. And there's so many different ways and tools out there. It doesn't just have to be this one tool.
Mm-hmm.
I love when you combine these into some beautiful things. And that's the way it should be. I think that's very smart and wise. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Once someone progresses towards Christ consciousness,
Right.
it being the lead character, it just disappears because
Right. Exactly. It's ironic. Exactly.
that it being the lead character is a very limiting concept.
Right.
It's very limiting. When you become
Exactly.
with the Christ and the Christ consciousness and being of service, you realize you're connected to all. That's lead
Exactly.
character or connected to all.
Exactly. That's why you
It's
see a lot of these great.
it's
That's why
the
you see a
lead
lot of these
character is
great
a very
monks.
limiting mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah, and yeah, that's funny. Yeah, the main character, indeed. Well, we see the irony there, the paradox, because this universe loves paradox. Is that we are the lead character in our lives. That's really, you are the only person you have sovereignty over, right? You're your own lead character in your
True.
J.R. Tolkien novel.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or,
Yes.
I got my rings. I was gonna put it on, but I
Exactly.
didn't. My little Silmarillion. I gotta show it to you now. I wear it a lot. I wore it yesterday. It's a Colombian emerald that was salvaged from a sunken ship and then put on a 24 karat gold that looks like a mountaintop. Here's my Silmarillion.
Nice. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah,
Beautiful.
power of the emerald. As a gemstone teacher, this is quite apropos. Okay. So, yeah, it's and then there's joy. I can't say that I was full of joy when I was in the dark, but I do know that there are some dark beings that do understand joy, and but in general, joy is just joy is a very healing force, and joy needs to be considered in any, it's like a barometer. Does one enjoy what they're doing? If you don't enjoy what you're doing, is there a way that you can? And if not, ask yourself why you're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and a lot of that is fear. They don't want People are afraid to leave the job that's unfulfilling. They're afraid to leave
Exactly. You
the
get stuck on the
relationship
cycle.
that's
Yeah.
unfulfilling. And
Exactly. Yes.
my Archangel Michael's here telling me that he'll be willing to help someone cut those cords and all of that. There's I guess he's like, I got a message. A message
How
that
does one?
there are resources beyond the physical that he invites people to consider tapping into more often, which is asking the angels for help. And they're more than willing to give little signs to confirm their presence. They're really capable of that. But he's saying that when someone is making or preparing or wanting or needing to make a major shift, like leaving a job or leaving a relationship, that the physical is only one aspect that needs to be addressed. It's not, the physical practical, where am I going to live? How am I going to make money? But the real answers actually come from the universe and from the God source, and the angels provide that and bring it through the power of manifestation. It may seem like physical, oh, there's a new job offer that just came to me from nowhere. It's not really from nowhere. These higher beings, the angels especially, with their advanced essence of mathematics and frequency, and that's the fundamental building blocks of physical matter. They're literally orchestrating and putting things together and putting things into motion to give opportunities for those who ask for it. So they're thinking, they're just reminding everyone to remember to think outside the physical, to think beyond the physical, to welcome the, what is the word, the multi-dimensional or the super physical, that they're here and they're just a little veil away. Like, you know, like again, like in a different room, they're like listening to what we're saying and wondering how they can help, and they find joy in doing that. Yeah, and they appreciate appreciation, but they understand why people forget. I mean, because it's easy to forget to thank someone if they're not standing in front of you. But if someone, you know, does something for you and they're standing in front of you, you say thank you. But if they bring something, an idea to you, and you know they're not here that you can't see, you kind of forget to say thanks. But they appreciate that also. They want us to engage with them more as if they're living beings, which they are. They just don't have a physical presence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Mike. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can call him Mikey. uh,
Well, that will conclude this beautiful interview, brother.
mhm.
Thank you so much for your wisdom, always.
Yeah. Would you like a little energy for everyone?
Yes, definitely. It's,
Just, I don't know how long we're going for, but this is fun. This is the energy of joy, energy of commitment to change for the better, energy of expanding awareness into the greater dimensional truths, and the curiosity to explore one's voice. Mm,
and it's very important to cut those cords when needed.
yes.
Yes. Very. To be better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Mm.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
As always, brother, it's a blessing and an honor. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
You copy as well.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, brother.
All
You
right.
too.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you. I needed this. Thank you. The audience needs this. Thank you.
Anytime. All right.
Thank you, man. So much love, so much respect. Thank you, brother.
Same. Right back at you. Thank you. Bye.
Oh.